Zaxxon's Motherbase 2000, or simply Motherbase, or Parasquad, whichever you prefer. Before we make the jump to 32, here's a look back at the 1982 arcade original via Sonic's Ultimate Genesis Collection on PlayStation 3. It may look primitive now, but Zaxxon was quite the stunner back in the day. It was the first game to make use of an isometric perspective, or diametric if you rather, thus simulating a three-dimensional environment. Also, it was one of the first games to use shadows. Yeah, y'all remember when that was a big deal? Right. Presentation aside, the gameplay's pretty simple. You take control of a starfighter, destroying as many alien ships, turrets, and missiles as humanly possible without being hit, crashing, or running out of gas. Yeah, running out of gas is the least of your worries since you're surrounded by petrol. All you gotta do is blow it up. Seriously, you shoot these giant red silos and you're good to jet. Strange, right? For me, crashing is the #1 cause of death. The big problem, I feel, are my eyes. I'm nearsighted and my depth perception is complete shit, so I won't hold it against the game. Still, I imagine it being difficult even for those with perfect vision. Like most side-scrolling shooters, you have full control of your altitude, yet performing such an otherwise effortless task in an isometric/diametric perspective can be a tad problematic to say the least. Thankfully, there's an altitude meter and the aforementioned drop shadow to assist you. Be that as it may, it's difficult for me to master. Regardless, Zaxxon's a classic, and it's still fun to play. How about Motherbase 2000? Well, here's the thing. It's been called into question whether or not this even counts as a sequel. Aside from the name, which was excluded in Japanese and European territories, the game bears little resemblance to Zaxxon. Altitude control is absent, as is the need to refuel your craft. Sad to say, these are fair criticisms. Really, this could have been called Viewpoint 2000 and worked just as well. Anyway, you're a member of the Hive Confederation having to stave off total disaster perpetrated by a vile separatist movement led by the Ginglii. Or Ginglii, but whatever. That's an intimidating name. You pilot the Stinger through 9 stages of techno-laced mayhem, obliterating a wide array of enemy fighters, gun emplacements, satellites, a whole fuck ton of robots, sea creatures of all sorts, insects, and yeah, everything wants you dead. The one thing that sets Motherbase apart from other shooters is the ability to latch onto support craft or enemy ships. This mechanic replaces traditional power-ups, so you have no choice but to learn and adapt. Otherwise, you're foobar. Hacking enemy craft or commandeering support vehicles adds a great deal of strategy. Ships have their very own strengths and weaknesses, like more armor but less speed, or whatever the fuck. Oftentimes, even the weakest ship will afford the Stinger one extra hit. Once the screen starts flashing, jump off immediately. If you do this after you've hacked the ship, when you hear the computer say, "Ready," the Stinger's sub-weapon will be that of the ship you just abandoned. That's cool, right? There's plenty of trial and error here. Smaller ships can't be hacked, but you wouldn't know that unless you tried and subsequently failed. It's not like there's a list detailing which ship you can or cannot hack. The instructions aren't much help either. I'm not bitching, mind you, just saying you're gonna die a lot. However, I do have to bitch about one thing in particular, and that is the frame rate. Personally, I wouldn't think a presentation this basic would cause the game to choke. I mean, it's flat shaded polygons against a scrolling two-dimensional backdrop. Shadow Squadron was far more demanding visually, I feel, and it rarely suffered from such lag. I'm not lying when I say that the slowdown makes it that much harder to jump and hack proficiently. I feel challenge should come from gameplay, not technical inadequacy. With some practice, though, you can overcome it. As for the visuals, honestly, I can see why this would have disappointed players back in the day. This doesn't scream next level at all. Nowadays, there's a certain appeal. It really screams 90s to me, in a good way. I feel the same towards Sylphid, and I love that game. There's good use of color, tons of variety in regards to enemy design, and there are some cool technical flourishes as well. Sound effects are old school, which is awesome. It adds to my gratification whenever things go boom. The music, oh my fuck, the music, so fucking 90s. You can slap this soundtrack on a tape right now and I'd wear it out in a week. Motherbase 2000 is far from perfect, though it's entertaining enough to keep you coming back, and a cheap addition to your library. Also, this is a righteous exclusive. Motherbase 2000 isn't available on any other platform outside of emulation. That would be enough to warrant a purchase for me. Thankfully, it just so happens to be a good game.